All right, so from there, let's go to Daniel's 11, and as a matter of fact, yeah, Daniel's 11 and 30. Hold that, but I'm going to read right here, so you know I'm not making this stuff up. Even the Edomite historians and scholars, they know this stuff is the same history. Esau got the history. Right? Remember when Esau conquered the earth, he got everybody records. He knows what's going on. And he has meticulously read the Bible and understand the prophecies that go along with it. You think this man rules the earth and don't have the records in the history? So a lot of y'all, you getting your information from the white man. Yes, because he has it. He took it from us. Yeah, we getting back what's ours. Right? Yeah, he the one holding on to it. We getting our true records and history back from him. So this is Zondervan's Compact Bible Commentary, page 600, and I'm gonna read the commentary for verses, Daniel's chapter 8, verses 8 to 14. I'm gonna read the commentary of what Esau said. The historians and the scholars, they got it. It says, Daniel's 8 and 8. The large horn was broken. Alexander the Great died at the height of his career, before he was 33 years old. 4 notable ones. After Alexander's death, 4 of his generals carved up the Macedonian Empire. Antagonus or Seleucus, excuse me, yeah, that's the one. Antagonus was also synonymous with Seleucus. Right? It says Antagonus ruled from northern Syria to Central Asia. Cassander, which was the second general of the 4 notable ones, Daniel's 8 and 8, the scholars know, ruled over Macedonia. Ptolemy ruled in Egypt and southern Syria, including Palestine. Lysimachus ruled over Thrace. Right, so these was his 4 generals that ruled after Alexander. See, the scholars know. Right, so we're focusing on Antagonus or Seleucus was ruled over northern Syria. Right, verse 9. The little horn here is not the same as the little horn of chapter 7. The little horn in chapter 7 is talking about America. Right, it tells you the 7 horns, and then the little horn, the 8th is of the 7. That's it. The scholars are letting you know it's a different prophecy. Right, Esau knows. They got the records in the history. The former horn comes out of the 4th beast, Rome, whereas this one comes out of Greece. But it's still synonymous. The Greeks and the Romans are the same people. Right, they were 2 different types of Edomites, but they're both Edomites. The little horn here refers to Antiochus Epiphanes, the 8th king of the Syrian dynasty, who reigned from 175 to 164 BC. Because I believe Hanukkah took place in 165 BC. That's when the first Feast of Dedication took place, 165 BC. About a year before Antiochus Epiphanes dies. And we'll get into that later on, because it tells you in 2 Maccabees that it tells you about the death of Antiochus Epiphanes. So it says, thus this prophecy skips from 301 BC, the time of the division of Alexander's empire, to 175 BC when Antiochus became king. And we're letting you know that. The prophecies, they skip time periods. Right? A lot of times when you read in the Bible, it's not for that main time period or this main, or it jumps around. So you got to get that understanding. Right? So it says Daniel's 8 and 10. This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Commentary, breaking down the history of what Daniel is prophesying in Daniel's 8 to 14. Letting you know, for you brothers and sisters that's in the Hebrew faith but don't really acknowledge Hanukkah or say that's not Torah inspired, it's in the Tanakh prophesied as a future event that will happen to the Hebrews. So if you're going to acknowledge the Apocrypha, then you have to acknowledge the Feast of Dedication or the Hanukkah, because it's in Israel history, it's prophesied. Even the scholars know. So Daniel's 8 and 10 in the commentary. The hosts of heaven and the stars refer to God's people. You see that? The stars is Israel. And the hosts of heaven. See chapter 12, verse 3, Daniel's 12 and 3, Genesis 15 and 5. The scholars know, even through the precepts, that the Bible refers to the Israelites as the stars of heaven or the host of heaven. It says, cast down. Some describes Antiochus' conquest. Right? Didn't I just bring that out when it stopped the Israelites to the ground, meaning Antiochus conquered them, and the Greeks they like pressed their philosophies on our people. It says Daniel 8 and 11, the Prince of Hosts refers to God himself. They go off a little bit on that. The Prince of Hosts represents the high priest, which was Onias III, I believe. Right? Onias III. That they took out of power and put a Hellenized Greek priest in power that was going to be more privy to the Greeks. Right? It says the little horn, like Lucifer, Isaiah 14 and 12, aspires to be like the Most High. Sanctuary cast down, and that's what epiphanies mean. When you read, check it out, Antiochus Epiphanies means God manifests, because Antiochus considered himself as a Greek Edomite God manifested on the earth. So the white man's a proud bastard, man. Yeah. That's why the scholars is linking up with Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Because Lucifer, being a so-called white man in the flesh on the earth today, he think he's a God-like figure. Right? That's what the Antiochus name means. Epiphanies, God manifests on the earth. So it said Antiochus desecrated the house of the Most High, the temple, by erecting a statue of Zeus on the bronze altar. Zeus or Jupiter. Right? Jupiter and Zeus is synonymous with each other in Greek and Roman false god worship. Right? Because in 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter, they refer to the statue as Jupiter. But it's the Greeks called it Jupiter, the Romans called it Zeus, and it's synonymous with each other. Right? So let me read on. It says Daniel 8 and 12. Truth is a reference to the Mosaic law. Right? When it said the truth in Daniel 8 and 12, and the host was given them against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Meaning what? The laws of the Israelites was taken out, and the wicked laws of the Greeks and swine's flesh and defilement and unclean things was put in on the altar and amongst worship, and to be consumed by the Israelites that sold out or that just got weak and fell to the power of the Greeks. Right? It says see that the scholars know. He said truth is referring to Mosaic law. Because any nation that conquered Israel, what was their main thing to do to us was what? To get us away from the laws of the Most High. Because they know that would weaken us. Just like now in America. Right? Thanksgiving and Christmas. Don't celebrate Hanukkah. Don't come back to your true culture. But that's what we're showing you, the true history, so you can have a sense of what you're celebrating and following. 13. A holy one and another one referred to angels. The saints, when it says in verse 13, 2,300 days refers to the time between Antiochus' pollution of the temple and the cleansing of it by the Maccabees. So now I'll read that again. Daniel 8 and 14, Bible commentary. 2,300 days refers to the time between Antiochus' pollution of the temple and the cleansing of it by the Maccabees. So that's very important. Let's remember and keep that Daniel 8 and 14 verse in mind. So do the scholars know the history that Hanukkah and the cleansing and the rededication of the temple was prophesied? Yes, or the cleansing of the temple was prophesied? Yes, they do. Right? They know that the Hanukkah is prophesied in the scripture. Let's go to the book of Daniel 11 and 30. Daniel, all right, get right to the point. It's going into Antiochus, some of the history of his battles and his different travels. But matter of fact, start at 28 to understand. You can really go further, but I just want to get right to the point. Start at 28. You can read the whole chapter, but start at 28 to get a little understanding.
Daniel chapter 11, verse 28.
Come on.
Then shall he return into his land with great riches.
He is talking about Antiochus. After some of his battles, he would return to his land. Go ahead.
And his heart shall be against the holy covenant.
Right. So what happened is, we're gonna read in the commentary. But we know it. We'll save it for the commentary. Go ahead, because it'll explain it itself. Come on.
Sorry. And he shall do exploits.
Come on.
And return to his own land.
Right, because he came against Israel, right? He took his anger out on us, like we're going to read. Come on.
At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south.
Come on.
But it shall not be as the former, or as the later.
Come on.
For the ships of Chittim shall come against him.
Right, because what happened is Antiochus was trying to expand his empire like we read earlier. So he went down to invade Ptolemy in Egypt. But the Romans, you had white on white crime. You had the Romans was trying to take rulership or take over rulership from the Greeks before it was time for them to rule. Because remember, Daniel gave us 4 kingdoms: Babylon, Persian, Greek, and Roman. So it was the Greek rulership now, but the Romans, being the devil that they are, right? Esau was like, no, Esau and Esau crime. Right. They was trying to take the Greeks down, so they was having wars amongst each other themselves. So the Romans came in and kicked them out of Egypt. Go ahead.
Therefore, he shall be grieved.
So now what happened, like we're going to read, Antiochus got mad and upset. Come on.
And return and have indignation against the holy covenant.
Right, see that he had indignation. He had that anger against Israel. That anger without regard against Israel, against the holy covenant. Come on.
So shall he do.
Right, come on.
He shall even return and have intelligence with them.
Come on.
That forsake the holy covenant.
Right, because you had sellout Israelites that was going back to the Greeks and reporting how much money was in the treasury. I mean, when you read the deep history, man, it was really the whole Maccabee history and story. It starts between Israelites that want to keep the law and sellout Israelites that want to make a deal with the white man.
Like today.
Right? Just like today, man. Right? Just same thing like with Yahushua. When Yahushua, it was sellout Israelites against the Israelites that want to keep the commandments and follow Hamashiach. Same thing. Right? So go ahead, y'all study and get deeper into it. And when we have the services, we'll probably cover some of the deeper history. This is just for the video to encourage you and give you what the holy day is about. But some of y'all try to attend the physical services in y'all cities, and if not, get online, get on the online services that brothers will be having, posting up. Just look out for it. Right, so go ahead.
And arms shall stand on his part.
Come on.
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength.
Come on.
And shall take away the daily sacrifice.
Right, and we just read that earlier where they erected a statue of Zeus and took away the sacrifices. Come on.
And they shall place the abomination.
The what?
The abomination.
The abomination, come on.
That make it desolation.
Right, same thing Yahushua spoke about in Matthew 24. So now these are the Greeks doing it to Israel. Then the Romans going to come in and do it. Same people, same prophecy. It just happened 2 different times. Come on.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flattery.
Right. Wicked Negroes, sell out Israelites, he corrupted by flatteries. Right. Hold that real quick. Go to Ecclesiastes 7:7. Just real quick. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7.
Ecclesiastes. Right,
because you had sellout Israelites like Jason and other Hellenized Israelites, or Israelites that want to go with the Greek customs, that was selling out for positions. The Greeks promised them positions as high priests and rulers over the people if they would work with them to overthrow the righteous rulership of the priest that was ruling. Right, it's all in the history. You can read about it. Go to Ecclesiastes 7:7. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 7.
Come on.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
What did the Lord say?
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Right, oppression makes a wise man mad. Come on.
And a gift
or flattery. Come on.
Destroyed the heart.
It destroyed the minds of the people, and they sell out. And they make a deal and an agreement with the enemy. So go back to Daniel's 11 and 32 again. Daniel's 11:32. Read that.
Daniel chapter 11 verse 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries.
Come on.
But the people that do know their power shall be strong.
Right, the Lord said the people that know their power, meaning Matthias Maccabees, the father of Judas Maccabees and the 5 Maccabee brothers, and the rest of the Israelites that rose up, the remnant that rose up to fight against the Greek invasion. Come on.
And do exploits.
They're going to do exploits because they fought wars, right, against the Greeks and against the invasion of Israel and Jerusalem and the taking over of the temple. When you read, all you got to do is read Second Maccabees, man. It goes into the wars of Judas. Judas was a fierce warrior, man. So they did their exploits also. Come on.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many.
Right, so you had that remnant of Israel that wanted to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and they instructed other Israelites that was willing to fight or die for the law, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
Yet they shall fall by the sword.
Come on.
And by flame.
Come on.
By captivity. And by spoil. Many days.
Right, so that's what happened to them. Some of them stood up and fought, but they died. They was killed. Right, they was burnt to death. They was taken into captivity. Some of them. Right, come on.
Now, when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help.
Come on.
But many shall cleave to them with flatteries.
Shall what?
Shall cleave to them with flatteries.
Right, so, it said when they shall fall, they shall be helped with a little help. Meaning Matthias and the Maccabees rose up, and other remnant of the Israelites rose up to fight against the Greeks. And many of the people, they clave to them by flatteries, meaning they just want to be down because they saw the power with them. They want to be down because they saw them fighting back against the Greeks. Go ahead.
And some of them understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge.
The Lord says some of them of understanding shall fall to try them. Go ahead.
And to make them white.
And to what?
Make them white.
To prove them, to make them go through affliction. Like when you read 2 Maccabees 7, the sister, I believe her name, the scholars say her name was Hannah. Hannah and her 7 sons, they died, right, because they wouldn't eat the swine's flesh and partake of the Greek sacrifice to Bacchus. Right? So what happened? They'd rather die and kill them and, be put to death. And with the promise of resurrection or regeneration that the Most High would give them. Right? So read on.
Even to the time of the end.
Come on.
Because it is yet for a time appointed.
Right, so now we're going to read in this Bible commentary again, show you the scholars know. This is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes and the Feast of Hanukkah or the Feast of Dedication that you brothers, deny. So now we're going to read Daniel's chapter 11, verse 28 to 35 in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, page 603. And we're going to show you the scholars know that this is prophesying in the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, about the Feast of Hanukkah or the Feast of Dedication or the Feast of the Cleansing of the Temple. Daniel 11:28. The Holy Covenant refers to Israel. Do damage. On his way back to Syria, Antiochus looted the temple in Jerusalem and killed many people. Because what happened is when Antiochus invaded Egypt and the Romans kicked him out of Egypt, he took his anger, he got mad and took his anger out on Israel. Right? Same thing that's going to happen to the white man today. When a white man is defeated and brought down, and when his kingdom start falling and other nations start coming against him, he going to take his anger out on Israel right here in America. Right, you got something?
No.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely. So I'm going to read on. It says, 29, return and go toward the south. Daniel 11:29. Return and go toward the south. After learning that Ptolemy the 6th and Ptolemy the 7th have formed a union against him, Antiochus returned to Egypt in 168 BC. Right? Cyprus, Daniel 11:30. Kittim or Cyprus here refers to Rome. When the Romans forced Antiochus to depart from Egypt, he unleashed his frustration on a holy covenant that is Israel. Verse 28, he took his anger out on Israel. Those who forsook the holy covenant refers to the apostate Jews, verse 32, who cooperated with Antiochus. They left the religion of their father, the law, statutes, and commandments of their forefathers and sold out and went with the Greeks. 11:31, defiled the sanctuary. Antiochus polluted the altar by offering a pig upon it. He declared the daily sacrifice and other Mosaic ceremonies illegal and committed an abomination of desolation by erecting an image of Zeus in the holy place. Daniel 9:27, Daniel 12:11. Yahushua had said a similar thing would happen just prior to his return. See Matthew 24:15. So it happened with the Greeks and the Romans. The people who know their power shall be strong. Matthias, Daniel 11:32. Matthias, father of 5 sons, refused to offer sacrifices in a profane manner and killed the king's agents. He and his sons then fled to the mountains and began the famous Maccabean revolt. Daniel 11:33. Many devoted Jews were killed in the Maccabean revolt. See Hebrews 11:37 and 38. And you got, that's for you Christians that say the Apocrypha is not part of canonized writing. So why is the Old Testament scholars is telling you in Daniel that it's talking about the Maccabean revolt, and they're quoting Hebrews 11:37 and 38 when it talks about faith and those that died and were killed in their faith. Verse 34, as some Jews were killed in the Maccabean revolt, others provided a little help. Many joined by intrigue, that is, insincerely. You know how people just want to be down, man. You know, a lot of people just want, it's a revolt against the Greeks. Oh, let's join it. Let's go where somewhat of the power is at right now.
Right.
Right? Just like a lot of people are in this truth for that reason, man.
Right.
They see the way we get on Esau. Right? It's not sincere. They just want to be down because they see superficial things.
Right.
It says, some of those of understanding refers to those who understand the Most High word and were allowed to go through troubled times so they could be refined and purified, to make them better. Sometimes the Most High brings us through tribulation and affliction to make us stronger and better. So the point being, the scholars know, they know that the history took place with the Israelites. It was prophesied, Salakia, that the Feast of Hanukkah or dedication or rededication of the altar was prophesied in Old Testament of Antiochus IV coming to invade Jerusalem and Israel with the Greeks, and then Judas and the Maccabees, through his father starting a revolt, fighting them back and cleansing the temple and rededicating it. So now let's go to 1 Maccabees 1:1. Now, so that was prophesied. It's prophesied. You can't get around that. Right? Brother Iwabaja is probably going to show y'all a little bit more images or some historical things to further back up the history. I was bringing it out. And like I said, you can Google it, man. It's right there. Do research. Right, so you brothers and sisters can know the true holy days that you're celebrating, and so you can know the history of what you're celebrating. Right? So let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and start at 1.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1.
Come on.
And it happened, after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, and smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
Right, so like we read earlier, 1 Maccabees 1:1, you can link that up with Daniel's 8:8 and Daniel's 8:21. It tells you the first king was the king of Grecia. And right here it's telling you is Alexander. So this is Alexander the Freak, right, or you try to say the Great or the Greek. This is him in history coming into power. Right, read on, verse 2.
Verse 2. And made many wars.
Come on.
And won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth.
Right, so Alexander, when he came into power in 333 BC, he was the leader of what was most of the known world at that time. Right, he invaded the Persians and pushed them all the way further into India. Right, and then his army, didn't want to travel any further. When you read about Alexander, his army didn't want to travel any further to conquer them, but they pushed like the people further, like the Persians, further into India. So that's how you know the Elam, or the so-called East Indians, are the ancient Persians, or the people of Elam, right? But that goes deeper into history. But go ahead.
and went through to the ends of the earth.
Come on.
And took spoils of many nations.
Read.
Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
Right, and for good reason, because it was time for the Greeks to come into power. So everybody was shut down. It was time for that third kingdom that Daniel spoke about. Come on.
Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
Right, so the pride came into Esau. Come on.
And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, and became tributaries unto him.
Right, they had to pay tribute unto Alexander because he was the known ruler of the world at the time. Right, come on.
And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die.
Come on.
Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Right, that's the four generals, the four notable ones that we read about in Daniel's the 8th chapter. Right, that Alexander would part his kingdom among. So now, the prophecy that we read in Daniel's now is actually taking place. Right now is when it's actually taking place. Right, come on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
Go ahead.
And his servants bare rule every one in his place.
Right, that's the four generals we read about and spoke about earlier. Come on.
And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
Now what happened when the so-called white man came into power?
Evils were multiplied in the earth.
When the Greeks took over rulership?
Evils were multiplied in the earth.
Now this is one of the main reasons why the so-called white man tried to hide the Apocrypha. Because he can't get around this. Any scholar or historian or anybody with two eyes can read this and see it's talking about Alexander the Greek. So when the Greeks came into power, which is the so-called white man, they say civilization started with the Greeks, right?
Right.
What type of civilization? Exactly. Evil civilization. So go to Proverbs 29 and 12. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 12.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 12. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked.
Matter of fact, read 2. Proverbs 29 and 2 first, yeah. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority,
come on,
the people rejoice.
Right, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, or they're happy. Come on.
But when the wicked beareth rule,
or when evils are multiplied on the earth, come on,
the people mourn.
The people mourn. And it tells you when they came into the earth, evils was multiplied when they came into rulership. Jump down to 16.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases.
Right, so it tells you when the wicked are multiplied, transgression, sin increaseth. Come on.
But the righteous shall see their fall.
Right, so go back to 1 Maccabees 1 and 9 again.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 9.
Come on.
After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years.
Come on.
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
The Lord said evils were multiplied in the earth. So when you read Proverbs 29:16, it says what? When the wicked are multiplied, that same word, multiplied, right? Transgression increase, or wickedness increase, right? But the righteous shall see their fall. And it tells you in verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So go to Job 9:24 now. Job chapter 9 verse 24. So Esau is the wicked according to the Bible. See, a lot of y'all get mad and upset when we say these things, but this stuff is right here, man. Right. It's right here in the scriptures, and it's right there in Esau, the way he does his wickedness throughout the earth.
Right.
Right. The proof is in the media and what you see from crack smoking mayors. Right, you know what I'm saying, in Toronto. Now you can say, well, there was a black crack smoking mayor. Yeah, we know that. But it's just in Esau nature to be like that. Get Job 9:24, brother.
Job chapter 9, verse 24.
Come on.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
What did the Lord say?
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
So Esau, the earth is given into his hand, and the Lord said he's the wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Go ahead.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
It said evils were multiplied in the earth when Esau came into power, so the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So Esau, by process of elimination, he is that wicked.